The engines roared to life before anyone could blink. The leader's jaw tightened, his eyes locked on the trembling boy clutching his torn backpack. "Tell me where they went, kid," he said, voice low but burning with fury. The boy's lips quivered as he whispered the words that would change everything. "They took my sister." In that instant, every biker in the dusty lot threw on their helmets. They didn't wait for the police. They didn't wait for orders. They just rode. Because sometimes family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up when no one else will. The sun was dipping low behind the rusted rooftops of a small forgotten town. The kind of town where dreams died quietly, and no one asked too many questions. A group of bikers, rough, loud, and free, had just stopped at a roadside diner called the Iron Stop. Their leader, Ryder Cole, was a man of few words but deep loyalty. He'd been through war, through loss, through enough pain to make most men crumble. But he'd found his peace in his club, the Iron Brotherhood, men who'd stood by him when the world turned its back. They were laughing over burgers and coffee when the diner door creaked open. Everyone turned. A boy, maybe 8 years old, stood there, dusty and barefoot, his clothes ripped, his eyes wide with terror. He scanned the room until his eyes landed on Ryder. Something about the man's calm, steady presence made the boy walk straight to him. "Sir," his voice trembled. They took my sister." The room went silent. Forks froze in midair. The jukebox hummed faintly in the background. Ryder leaned forward, his voice soft but commanding. "Who took her, kid?" The boy swallowed hard. "2 men in a black truck. They came when we were walking home from the store. They grabbed her and drove off. I tried to stop them, but—" his small voice cracked. "They pushed me down." The youngest biker, Mason, clenched his fists. "Did you see which way they went?" The boy nodded and pointed down the empty highway. "That way, toward the old mill." Ryder didn't need to hear another word. He stood up, his chair scraping the floor. "Gear up," he barked. "But boss," one of them muttered, "shouldn't we call the cops?" Ryder's eyes hardened. "By the time they show up, that little girl could be gone for good." He looked down at the boy. "What's your name, son?" "Eli," the boy whispered. Ryder put a hand on his shoulder. "Eli, I promise you, we'll bring your sister home." Minutes later, the parking lot exploded with the thunder of motorcycles. The Iron Brotherhood didn't ride for fame or fear. They rode for justice. Their kind of justice. The boy watched them vanish into the fading sunlight, a faint glimmer of hope flickering in his tear-streaked eyes. The road to the old mill was long, cracked, and swallowed by the creeping dark. The bikers rode in formation, headlights cutting through the dust like blades of white fire. Ryder led the pack, his mind racing. He'd seen this before. Good people hurt, because no one cared enough to act. When they reached the mill, it was almost night. The place looked abandoned, shattered windows, rusted doors, and silence that screamed danger. But Ryder's gut told him the girl was there. He signaled with a raised fist, and the bikes went quiet. They spread out. Mason and Duke, the oldest member, circled the back. Ryder crept toward the front with 2 others. Then, a faint sound, crying. It came from inside. Ryder kicked the door open. Inside, 2 men turned, startled, one holding a phone, the other gripping a terrified little girl with duct tape over her mouth. The men froze for half a second too long. Ryder's crew didn't. Mason charged first, slamming one man into the wall. Duke swung a wrench that sent the other sprawling. The girl stumbled back, eyes wide, as Ryder ripped the tape off and lifted her into his arms. "It's okay, sweetheart," he said softly. "You're safe now." Sirens wailed in the distance. Someone must have heard the commotion, but by the time the police arrived, it was over. The bikers stood there, silent and steady, with the girl reunited in her brother's arms. Eli ran to her, sobbing, clutching her as if he'd never let go again. "I told you I'd find help," he cried. Ryder crouched beside them. "You did good, kid." The officer who arrived recognized Ryder instantly, not because of trouble but because of respect. He'd served with him years ago. "You really can't stay out of hero work, can you?" he joked. Ryder shrugged. "Just doing what's right." The bikers watched as the siblings were taken to safety. The girl looked back through the window, her small hand waving goodbye. Mason turned to Ryder. "We don't even know their last name." Ryder smiled faintly. "Doesn't matter. We know we did what no one else would." As they rode off into the dawn, Eli's voice echoed in Ryder's head. That trembling whisper that had lit the fire in all of them. They took my sister. But not anymore. Because sometimes angels don't have wings. Sometimes, they ride Harleys. Never underestimate the power of strangers who choose to care. One act of courage can turn fear into freedom.